Kenny, Deputy Aodhán or Ríordáin.
Thanks, Ríordáin, and thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak on this issue. I suppose there's two main issues that I'd like to address in discussing this bill. A lot of them have already been discussed about the dangers of online gambling, the fact that the social interaction from the gambling or from the bookies shop in the main street will be replaced by a more private engagement online, which, as Deputy Spring and Deputy Kenny have already said, and other deputies too, is particularly dangerous and worrisome. But what I want really to concentrate on in my limited amount of time is where the money goes and where the levies on betties go in this country. And I think anybody who takes a cursory glance at the Horse and Greyhound Fund and the Horse and Greyhound Act that underpins that fund would probably be surprised as to the mechanisms behind it. Because I think most people in Ireland wouldn't necessarily be aware that every bet laid on anything in Ireland, on anything at all, be it soccer, rugby, GAA or whatever, the levy from that bet goes directly into the Horse and Greyhound Fund, even though only 10% of bets placed in Ireland are based on horse racing or on greyhound racing. I find absolutely remarkable. It would almost appear to me when I discovered this a number of years ago to be the most cosseted industry in terms of public funding in the state. No other sporting organisation gets this type of support. It's absolutely unbelievable. And if I think the vast majority of Irish people began to realise this, they might have a question mark over, let's evaluate this funding mechanism. Can it be justified in the new age? Can it be justified in a situation where we have such social unease, where we have such social problems such as childhood obesity, where we have problems such as school hunger, where we have problems such as antisocial behaviour, where we have children being dragged into various different choices in their lives which are destructive ones, that this particular act, enacted in 2001 under former Minister Charlie McCreevy, still rules the roost in this House, and that all bets placed in this country go to that fund. 2 years ago, that fund was worth 57 million, and the Irish Sports Council, on average, every year get about half that from the state. Now, I would be horrified, Minister, absolutely horrified, if this new online betting levy was to go anywhere near that fund. Now, I completely understand there's deputies right across this House who will completely and fundamentally disagree with me on this point, and people in my own party as well, who feel very strongly about the horse racing industry. They feel very strongly about what it adds to the Irish economy. I've heard figures mentioned today of 900 million from the horse racing industry and 500 million from the greyhound racing industry, and I am willing to accept those figures and the employment and the tourism that comes from it. But if we can't, we can't just let this lie and not constantly reimagine it and re-evaluate it. Because if you look at the figures when you drill deep into it again, about 80% of the money from the Horse and Greyhound Fund goes to the horse racing industry. The vast bulk of that is spent on prize money, which is much more lucrative in Ireland than it appears to be in anywhere else in Europe. And I'm led to believe, and I'm open to contradiction on this, about 5 named individuals are beneficiaries of that prize money, and their tax status is open to plenty of controversy year in and year out. So my fundamental point would be this, Minister, that considering how potentially dangerous this industry is, and I absolutely welcome the fact that we are regulating it and placing a levy on it and bringing it out from the darkened bedrooms of people and into the light and focusing attention on it. If the state is to benefit from a levy from it, we have to be open and transparent as to where that money is going to be spent. Because of all the social ills that are caused by things like gambling and things like excessive behaviour in society, if we are to continue to funnel such a level of tax receipts and levy receipts from the existing betting arrangements in Ireland to the Horse and Greyhound Fund, well, I think we need to have a more honest and open debate about it. I think we need to have an honest and open debate about sports funding. And we need to have an honest and open debate about what sports funding is for. Is it for participation of children? Is it for the betterment of society? Is it for connectivity? Is it for health and exercise? Or is it for this industry? And I think maybe we haven't had an open enough discussion about that. So in terms of the bill itself, I welcome it. In terms of what we're trying to do, I think it's just and it's right of what we are doing. But certainly the type of individuals who are and type of companies that are behind this, I would have a deep distrust of them. I think the social interaction of the difference between having the ability to go into your bookie shop where you have to engage socially and doing this in your own bedroom, in your own house, behind a computer screen, not engaging with anybody and using credit cards, as Deputy Spring has already said, is extremely dangerous and extremely worrying. But the levy that we're going to receive from this and where that goes, the connectivity between that levy and the expenditure on the other side where it's going to go, is absolutely key to this. Because I think that, like everything in Irish society, everything in public policy, people have more belief in the taxation system and the society in which they live. If they can see the connectivity between the charges that they pay, the levies that are placed on things, and the services that they get as a result. And I think we have to be much more open and honest about the Horse and Greyhound Fund, the Horse and Greyhound Act that underpins it, the type of sports funding that's available, discussions that we have with every other sporting organisation in the country as to what they need, and and not to be afraid of talking honestly and truthfully to those powerful individuals in the horse and greyhound industry who may have a differing point of view. So I welcome the bill, but I certainly think this has to be a beginning of a discussion as to where our levies go and what we support in terms of sport and leisure in Ireland, and who we are willing to talk tough with.